Thank you all for being here. This is a special day in the history of this franchise. It's a full circle moment for the Carolina Panthers, a union of past and present with an eye on the future. Today marks the start of a new beginning for this franchise, but it also marks a return to the very beginning.
For us as a family, this place has always been special.
Looks good. I like the color.
To the end zone. Right to Metzelars, the first touchdown in Carolina Panthers franchise history.
Everything we do is explosive. Everything we do is explosive.
Who throws caught? Foles, touchdown. How do you figure?
They win the Super Bowl!
Frank Reich walked through two of the greatest comebacks in football history, one in college, Maryland, one with the Buffalo Bills against the then Houston Oilers.
All day long, all day long, all day long. Let's go. Keep bringing the energy. Keep bringing the energy.
That's what we're talking about! That's the way to go!
And we got your back today, though.
I appreciate that. I got your back, man. I got your back.
Frank Reich, the former Indianapolis head coach, being welcomed across the Green City. Truly a new era and a new beginning for the black and blue and their fans.
You know, to think that we're here now and having the opportunity to be the head coach of the Panthers, tremendous privilege, honor, responsibility. Just excited, ready to get to work.
We all welcome in Frank Reich today, our new head coach for the Carolina Panthers. And what you just saw, those were the first brushstrokes on what is largely a blank canvas. When you hire a new coach, it's a clean slate. It's a barren blank canvas. But that canvas represents possibility. And in his career as a player and a coach, Frank Reich has always shown us what is possible. As you saw in the video, he rallied his college team from 31 down, rallied his NFL team, the Buffalo Bills, from 32 down in a playoff game. We have seen him tasked as the new quarterback to steward a new franchise into a brave new world. We've seen him adapt to circumstances, like when he lost a quarterback in the midst of an MVP season, only to shepherd the backup to a Super Bowl win. He is a part of this franchise's origin story. First quarterback, he threw the first pass. He took the first snap. He threw the first touchdown pass. Frank Reich has been a part of many firsts in this franchise's history, and we're looking forward that you now get a chance to show us what's next. Before we move on, there's some people we'd like to recognize in attendance today. Panthers owners David Tepper and Nicole Tepper, team president Christy Coleman, general manager Scott Fitterer. A number of players have joined us today. I see Taylor Moton, Brady Christensen, Dante Jackson, Jeremy Chin, Marquise Haynes, Chuba Hubbard, Ike Ekwonu, all here. Former players in attendance today as well. Carlton Bailey, John Casey, Pete Metzelars, who caught that first touchdown pass from Frank, Mark Rodenhauser, Dwight Stone, and Gerald Williams. We also have the family of our new head coach, Frank Reich, wife Linda, children Hannah, Leah, and Avery, and their husbands Andrew, Thomas, and Brett. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to celebrate this momentous day. It's my pleasure now to welcome to the stage the owner of the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper.
Well, Nish did a good job taking half of what I was going to say away. So, but I just want to recognize a couple things about Frank. He's a man of incredible integrity, an incredible family man, a person that we could tell has great process and a great way of doing things. That basically has, a guy that basically checks all the boxes. and a guy that you really want to basically help build a culture and help lead a team, hopefully for the next few years and beyond. There's really nothing else for me to say. I'm just going to turn it over to you, Frank. We're really excited about having you here and helping us to build something great.
Well, just want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you to Mr. Tepper and Nicole Tepper for just an incredible opportunity to come back home, to lead a team and a franchise in which we were here at the beginnings, but to take on new challenges and to take us to new heights. We know that's a collective process. I appreciate the opportunity to work under the leadership of an owner and his wife who have already accomplished crazy things in their own life. I want to tap into that energy, that expertise, that innovation, the creativity to be the best. As I went through the interview process, that's what I heard very clearly from Mr. Tepper. That's the standard. That's what we're reaching for. Nothing but the best. Let's be excellent. Let's have a consistency of excellence in everything that we do to create a championship caliber team and a championship caliber organization. This is the NFL. The difference between winning and losing is really small. Every year we see it. We see teams go from big-time losing to big-time winning, even competing for championships, all in the space of 1 year. It's possible. But how does that happen? How do you turn things around? The reason we see these things happen is because what we all already instinctively know, that winning, the difference between winning and losing, it's in the margins. It's in the details. It's one player at a time. It's one play at a time. It's one detail at a time. It's about focusing on getting it right, not who is right, not being right. We're going to get it right together. It's not a one-man show. You will see that as a coach and as a coaching staff, we will collaborate. We will collaborate with ownership, with Scott Fitter, the GM, with Christy Coleman, the president, the whole crew. We will collaborate together to create a championship caliber organization. And we will collaborate with the players, coaches and players together. This is a player's game. If there's one thing I know being in this business as a player and coach for 30 years, this is a player's game. They're the stars, right? But we do it together as a team. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. It's all about the process. It's all about the people. And so we're just going to focus on progress, getting better every day. There's a quote that's been on my desk since my rookie year in 1985, and you'll hear me say this a lot. And it says this, that no man becomes suddenly different from his habits and cherished thoughts. You know, no man becomes suddenly different from his habits and cherished thoughts. And so we're going to be a team and an organization that is about creating championship habits, championship thoughts. We're going to cultivate those. We're going to nurture those, and those are going to grow. They're going to be infectious. We want to feel those, and we want to feel that in the community, and we're so excited to really partner with our fans because that's a very important part of the process. My family's already been acknowledged, but I want to acknowledge them again. My wife, Linda, we've been married 36 years, partners for life. We're a football family. Linda and I, as we've moved around the NFL, we only know one way to do it. That's to dive all in. To dive all in. Obviously, I'm diving all into the football process. Linda's leading our efforts as a family to dive into the community and what we do from a charitable standpoint to help serve this community. So we commit to you and we promise to you we will dive all in. This is about football and this is about winning. That's why I was hired. But it's also about doing it the right way and being part of something special. Of course, our daughters, Leah, Avery, and Hannah, was mentioning early to a group that we're a football family. These girls, they all throw a pretty mean spiral. I taught them when they were young. I'm not sure they still got that in their repertoire, We grew up, they know the X's and O's. I used to take them on dates and teach them the X's and O's and the whole deal. And then, of course, our son-in-laws, Thomas, Brett, and Andrew, when they met our daughters, I had to tell them to put they're all from North Carolina, so they all had their Panthers gear. Of course, when you're with other teams, you had to tell them to put that all in the back of the closet. Well, now I told them you can bring that Panthers gear, put it in the front of the closet, right? Put that back at the front of the closet. And then I want to acknowledge my former teammates from that 1995 season, the first season ever. What a great experience to be a part of a team, the first inaugural season. Special memories for us as a team. Carlton Bailey, John Casey, Pete Metzelaars, Mark Rodenhauser, Dwight Stone, and Gerald Williams. Appreciate you guys being here. And then, of course, just the friends in the community, the support has been overwhelming just in a short amount of time. But in short, as I wrap up, the vision is clear. As we talked with Scott Fitterer and with Mr. Tepper, it's to create a band of excellence, create this consistency of excellence that at the top end is championships and at the bottom end we're a playoff team. Create that consistency of excellence that produces championships, that brings championships to the Carolinas. It takes 4 pillars to do that, right? If you're going to build that championship caliber team, it takes 4 pillars. It's ownership and the organization. I was telling a bunch of people earlier, through the interview process to get to know Mr. Tepper and Nicole was very dynamic, to see and hear and feel their vision, but also to feel the conversation that we had, the partnership that you could start to feel as we went through the interview process. That's a big deal. And of course, it's not just the ownership, it's the whole organization. For me to get a chance, the most important relationship is really with Scott Fitterer, the GM. Head coach and GM, we got to be like this. We're together every day. We got to, along with Mr. Tepper, come up with the blueprint of what this team is going to look like and who we're going to be. So really excited to work with Scott. Class act. We're going to fit together perfect as I'm getting to know him. His expertise is going to be a great asset to me and to our team. And so looking forward to that partnership. And of course, with Dan Morgan as assistant, I go back a little bit with him and Samir and then even working with Nicole on the business side and Christy Coleman on the business side. For us, that's a very important part of it as well. So it's about ownership. It's about the players. That's the second pillar. The first is the ownership. You got to have the right ownership to get championships. You got to have the right players. I'm really excited about the roster that we have and the roster that we're going to continue to build. This is what it's all about for me. It's about the relationship and the connection with the players. We give trust to each other right away, but then we continue to gain trust in each other as we work through and go through this journey together. And then it's about the coaches. One of the things that Mr. Tepper made clear is we're going to get the best of the best. He's willing to help support that effort, to get so that we get the best, not only the best, but the best for our team. So we have the right mix of coaches. And we will have a great coaching staff. And then lastly, that fourth pillar, it's about the fans. We're at that time of year. There's nothing like seeing a football stadium rocking. When a team is having success and when we're giving the community reasons to be excited about, it'll be a special time to be in that stadium and to be walking around the city wearing the Panthers logo. And then just finally, right, those are the 4 pillars. And then just finally, this is really to the players. This is really to the players that are here and the ones that might tune in and they'll hear this soon enough. There's 3 primary principles. There's 3 primary principles that we're operate by. The first is a relentless pursuit to get better every day. We got to have a relentless pursuit to get better every day. Nothing can ever get in the way of that. We're committed to that, to push each other in every way. We got to get better every day. No one has all the answers. We work together, we collaborate, and we push each other to be the best. The second one is that excellence comes through competition. We're going to compete in everything we do. In meetings, in the weight room, on the practice field, that's the way you get to be the best. You have to compete against one another and bring out the best. And then, of course, we'll enjoy competing against the opponents. That'll be a lot of fun. And put that on full display, right? And then lastly, it's going to be about the team. The team, the team, the team. We will celebrate. We got great individual players. They'll hit many individual milestones and goals, and we'll celebrate all those. But the team always comes first. That's what we're going to be about. And then in closing, I would just say this. we're going to bring a brand of football and a style of football that this city can be proud of. It's going to be exciting in all three phases. It's going to be innovative. It's going to be creative. We will always be working to get better. And then we're going to do it the right way, on and off the field. We want to make you proud. And so just thankful to be back, and I'll open it up to questions from there.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. As he said, we will open up to questions. We do have mics in the crowd, so please raise your hand, and we'll do our best to get to you. We'll start with Steve Reed, followed by Joe Person and Scott Fowler.
Hey, Frank. Steve Reed from the Associated Press. First of all, welcome back to Carolina. I wonder if you could talk about the roster that you're inheriting here, and as you're going through the interview process, what were your thoughts on the roster? Where do you feel like it needs to get better? What do you see as some of the strong suit?
I think the defense has been obviously a real strong suit, been top level defense, but we're always looking to get better. To be honest, here's what a top 5 defense gives you an opportunity to do. Top 10 defense is going to give you a chance in every game, but a top 5 defense is what really can elevate you as a team, that you can not only be in every game, but you can find a way to win every game when you've got a top 5 defense. So we understand we're in a league that is offensively driven in many ways, but kind of the secret sauce is create and build upon the momentum that we have here, the players, the roster that we have here on defense. Get the right coaches so we have the right scheme that accentuate their gifts. I'm not going to go through player by player. Scott and I have sat down, started to talk about that. There's still a whole lot more study that needs to go, but obviously that stands out. And then offensively was really encouraged as I watched kind of the second half of the season and dig into the tape a little bit. There's so much to build on. The offensive line, the running game. We got receivers that can get vertical down the field. The running backs were strong. Foreman looked strong at the end of the year. That's going to be really important for us to get the ball vertically down the field, continue to build this roster so that we improve in all 3 phases, which of course also brings you to special teams, which were top-ranked special teams this past year, and we look forward. That's an essential part of a championship caliber football team.
Hey Frank, it's Joe Person with The Athletic. Good to see you. 2 questions. Will you call the offensive plays? And then secondly, did your experience in Indianapolis, will that make you more likely or more convicted to do the draft and develop route at quarterback?
As far as calling plays, I'm going to wait to see that we get the offensive staff together. Obviously, I've always enjoyed doing that, felt like I've had a good bit of success doing that, and enjoy doing that. It feels to me there's a little bit of a trend going away from that. I want to continue to re-examine that, and it just depends on how the staff comes together and the coordinator thing. I'm excited about the prospects of some of the guys that are out there that could be our offensive coordinator. So I'll wait to make the final decision on that. And part B of that question was?
Whether the Indianapolis experience changed your thoughts on quarterback.
You got to have stability at quarterback. You want to have stability at quarterback. So the good thing that I've learned in my past experience here, in the few years, is we've learned how to adapt to different styles of quarterbacks, but that's not the ideal situation, right? So we, Mr. Tepper, Scott, myself, have to commit to what's our blueprint, how are we going to maintain stability at quarterback, make a plan, and then execute that plan.
Frank, over to your left, Scott Fowler.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Scott.
Glad to see you again. Welcome back.
Yes, sir.
I wonder 2 things. One, if you could give us a couple of the specific 1995 memories you have from here. And then secondly, if you wouldn't mind evaluating a little more specifically the quarterbacks currently on this roster.
Yeah, the memories from that first season, of course, we didn't play here. We played in Clemson. So one of the memories is the bus rides. It's the camaraderie of the players, right? Your teammates. We're on these long, we got home games that we're busing to that are, several hours away, and then traffic coming out of Clemson was, always a little bit slow, even with an escort. But those are great memories. Those are great memories. I won't go into the details, but some of the memories of our practice facility that year in the showers, there was a unique showering situation. I'll just put it that way. That was a unique memory. And, you know, the touchdown pass to my friend Pete Metzelaars, of course, first touchdown in Panthers history. You know, I don't have, you know, as a career backup quarterback, I don't have too many highlights. But, you know, to have the first touchdown pass in the team's history is pretty special. You know, and then that first game in Atlanta. You know, we're playing our very first game in team history in Atlanta with, you know, thinking, you know, you're even going to have a chance. And we take the game to overtime. And we ended up losing in overtime, but I'll never forget that first game.
All right, thank you, Phil, Mike Kay, and then Ellis Williams, please.
Hey, Frank. Phil Orban from WSOC in Charlotte. I'm over here to your left. I'm curious what it was that brought you to Charlotte and kept you to Charlotte in between your playing career and your coaching career. What drew you to the city?
Introduced our daughters. They were all raised here. You know, we lived here for 13 years before. You know, transitioning full time, So, you know, one of our daughters, our youngest daughter, Hannah, was born here, but they were all raised here, went to school here, high school, the whole deal. So this was home, this was instantly home for us. You know, we had 10 years up in Buffalo, which were amazing 10 years playing up there. And then I played for 3 other teams as I finished my career. But when we were looking at, hey, where's home base going to be long term? It was the Carolinas. It's always been the Carolinas for Linda and I. We've been, like I said, we've been married a long time. And when we started talking about where do we want home base to be, we just fell in love with this area, with this city. And so this has always been part of the master plan. And then to think I get to come back and do it as the head coach, that's insane to me. So let's go.
Hey, Frank. Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer. When you got to Indy, it was kind of an unusual circumstance where Matt and a few of those coaches were already in place. I was just curious, what did you learn from your first staff building experience in Indy, and how will that impact building a staff here now?
I thought we built a great staff. We had really good diversity of thought, diversity of personalities, diversity of coaching styles. I think that's important. The chemistry of the staff is really, really important. I think that's one of the lessons learned, you know, as a lot of those guys were very successful and went on to be head coaches and coordinators with other teams, which I think is a good sign that we did our job the right way to start. But then you start losing those guys and you got to replace. And this goes back to Mr. Tepper's point. You know, we had good coaches. We had good coaches in all places. And, you know, but there's still something about chemistry. There's still something about chemistry. And that's my job as a head coach to make sure that's right.
Frank, Ellis Williams here, Charlotte Observer. You've been doing this for a long time. You've been around a lot of offensive, creative minds. I'm wondering, from your 2 stops in Indy to Philly to Arizona to San Diego, what are your offensive philosophies and pillars, and what are you going to bring and lean on from those when you build this Carolina offense?
It's a passing league, but you have to run the ball to be a championship team. You know, I mean, there's exceptions to that. But when you look at the analytics, the statistics over the years, that you got to be effective running the football and efficient running the football. So that's one of the reasons I'm excited about this roster. I know we can do that. We'll get the pass game right, but I know we can run the football, and we're going to run the football because that just builds off the play action, off the RPO stuff, you know, all the movement stuff. So that's what you want to build. What offensively you're always trying to do is to create conflict in the defender. Put a seed of doubt in the defender's mind. You know, is it run? Is it pass? Is it the RPO? Is it a first level RPO throw? Is it second level? Is it, you know, are they going deep? So complement everything together. Have, you know, but it starts with running the football. And then the second principle is you have to get the ball vertical down the field. You have to get chunk plays. All the statistics, all the analytics, that's one of the reasons why I'm excited to work for Mr. Tepper, because, right, if anybody who knows analytics, it's him and all of his businesses. But he gets this as much as anybody. But, like, it's hard to go 14-play drives all the time. You got to get chunk plays down the field. So we need to be able to run the ball, have play action off it, we can get it vertical, have the kind of players and quarterback that can do that.
And one more real quick, if I can. It's been almost 3 months since you were fired in Indianapolis, and now a quick turnaround here. Not too many coaches get this opportunity this quickly. I'm wondering if you've had time to reflect what you've learned from your time in Indy that you will then implement here in Carolina.
I did. I did. In some ways, if there was going to be a transition, it was a blessing in disguise, you know, that I really did. Okay, we were talking earlier with a group of people. You know, in the NFL, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have successes and failures. We had 4 years of good success, and then you go through 1 year where you're struggling, where there's a struggle, and now you have a chance to reflect on that. And it's like, it's like getting an app. I like to talk to the players like this. In apps you get version 1, then there's version 2. I feel like this provides me an opportunity to debug some things, make things better. Now come out with version 2.0 or version 3.0. It's better. It's cleaned up. The important thing is, though, that you're starting with a good product to start, which I know we are. So now we clean some things up. Like I said, staff, vision of the offense, complementary defense, and that high level of special teams play, all the areas that that we're really going to focus on a team, and then how to stay true to the process, manage expectations in a way, keep our team focused on the right things, and then keep challenging and pushing. Ultimately, it's got to come from the players. The head coach and the coaches can only do so much. The leadership has to come from the locker room, right? I got a role that I got to play, and I'll do my best to play that role. But ultimately, that leadership's got to come from the players as well.
Let's go to David Newton and then Josh Klein, please.
Yeah, Frank, David Newton, ESPN.com. Not sure what I asked you in 1995 first. Probably could you be the starting quarterback? But I want to follow up on one of the questions over there. What exactly went wrong at Indianapolis? And are any correlations between what you've seen the last 5 years here in your brief evaluation of why this team hasn't been successful?
I think what went wrong was, we had this. In 4 years, we established, in 4 years, it was established that that team, we were running the ball well. We were like we're going to do here. And then as this year started out, the running game disappeared. And then we didn't get the ball vertically down the field a lot because of that, and we ended up having some breakdowns. Now, and that's on me as the head coach. I got to get that right. The responsibility starts with me, right? So when we don't reach our goals, it's under my leadership, and so I have to take. And that's why I have an opportunity to be here. But ultimately, I also feel I look back and I also say, well, part of it went wrong. I always feel like I've always had a good track record of the second half of the season as a head coach. If you go back and look at the record in the second half of the season, so there's a little bit of side of me that says we've had a way as a staff of figuring it out. Even when you go over a few bumps, I think we're good at figuring things out, injuries, things you have to get past, putting players in the best position. So that's a lot of fun to do.
Hey, Frank. Josh Klein from the Riot Report. You already talked about your memories from 1995, and one of the first pictures that the team put out to announce your hiring was a picture of you and Sam Mills. And I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit about what Sam and Keep Pounding means to you specifically.
I mean, Sam, captain of our team, I mean, he was the lifeblood of our team. That first year, we knew that we were having a special experience, and Sam was at the center of that. You knew when you walked, and Sam was in the room, you knew it. You felt his presence. You felt his leadership. He had very high standards. I think that's what stands out to me most about my memories of Sam. His standards were just so high personally. He drove himself, his work ethic, how he prepared, how he practiced, how he played. And then it just exemplified that keep pounding, which to me ultimately is about a sign of being committed to the process. That even though there's going to be some bumps along the road, if we keep pounding and we keep believing, we're going to get it right.
Go to Mike Solarte, then Brett Jensen.
Frank, back here in the back, straight to your left. It's good to see you again. Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. You talked about the relationship between the head coach and the general manager, you and Scott Fitterer. Is there a for lack of a better description, balance of power, input? I mean, how do you see your role in helping to build this roster? Is it giving Scott a name you like, or collaborative, or where do you start with that?
Yeah, it's balance of power. Scott will have control of 53. I'll control who's active and who's not active. But ultimately, this is, that's on paper. In reality, this is 100% collaborative. I can already tell that with Scott. We're going to work side by side. We're going to tirelessly work where we're going to have the same vision. We'll have disagreements. We'll have disagreements. We'll have different ideas. but ultimately we'll come together as one and decide who are the best players on this team and how to build this team. And along with the scouting staff and the coaches, we'll work together. So I look forward to that. I can already tell with Scott that partnership is going to be a highlight for me, and looking forward to getting work as soon as we possibly can.
Frank, Brett, excuse me, Brett Jensen, WBT News. I'm just curious, getting back to quarterback a second, what type of quarterback do you prefer? Do you prefer a running style quarterback, where you mentioned the RPOs, more like Jalen Hurts, or do you prefer more of a traditional drop back type of quarterback? What do you prefer?
We all know where the game's going, right? And we all know the game is going to a more movement style quarterback. I embrace that. I love that. And we worked with some, in Philadelphia, had worked with Carson Wentz, and we did a lot of good things. Got a lot of good things with movement, RPOs, play action, all that stuff. Same thing in the years in Indy. We had some drop back, some movement guys, and so ultimately we can adapt to whatever. But where the game is going, and most of the guys coming out in college have more movement. So, right, that has some advantages. The defensive players will tell you when that quarterback is back there and he is a threat to run. You watch Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, which our offenses are very similar just because of our connection with Nick Sirianni and so on and so forth. And the quarterback's running his own read and he's a threat to run. It just puts the defense in conflict, right? Slows the backside down. We have a saying that we'll say on offense: front side wins games, backside wins championships. Front side wins games, backside wins championships. Okay, well, if the backside wins championships, and if I got a quarterback who can run, and he's making that defensive end hold his water, or making the linebacker hold the water at the second level, it's just going to give my guys more room on the front side. It's going to put the offensive lineman in a position to have better leverage. So if you got that guy, that's the game you play, and you put it to the player's advantage. But at some level, even those guys, and Mr. Tepper and Scott and I talked about this, you got to have a guy that can win from the pocket. We're not going to drop back. If we have one of those guys, we won't drop back 50 times, but you got to drop back 10 times. It's 3rd and 10, and the game is on the line. You probably are playing from the pocket, so we can develop that as well. You want to be able to understand who you're drafting or understand who you're acquiring, continue to develop them as a player. We can all get better. I can be better as a coach. They can become better as a player, whether we're signing a guy or drafting a guy. But ultimately, that's the challenge, and that's the excitement of it.
We'll go to Chris Jenkins, then Kelly Bartik, and Darren Gann.
Hey, Frank, it's Chris Jenkins with Charlotte Vibe. This was a process that took several weeks and several rounds with candidates. In your eyes, what made you stick out specifically to be the chosen head coach for this Carolina Panthers team? And then I have a follow-up.
Well, obviously, I think that would be more a question for Mr. Tepper and Nicole and Scott and the crew. I just know this. I know there's more than one way to do it. It's not a one-man show. So I'm not trying to make it like it's a one-man show. I have very strong convictions about what I think it takes to win, what I think it takes to build a roster, what I think that vision looks like, how we play as a team, what areas that we really have to be good at in situational football, and then how to be good at those areas. But it's a collective effort. It's a collective effort. So I hope what came out there is that this is going to be about the team of coaches, the team of players that we build, working as an organization, that excellence is the standard, that consistency of excellence is what we've got to have. That's ultimately what we're all looking for. We want to be at the top. This is what I heard from it. We want to be at the top, not just every now and then, year in and year out. So that's what we're striving for.
Thank you. And the second part is, part of what you mentioned is collaboration with the players. Player safety is important. Players here have mentioned wanting a natural surface, and we have artificial surface here. Have you had conversation about that, and what are your thoughts on that?
Could you just repeat the last part of that again? I'm sorry, one more time.
Yeah, have you had conversations with the organization about the planned surface, and what is your overall opinion on what the surface is best for players?
I'm sorry. There's a word that you're saying that I didn't catch.
Surface of the field.
Okay. If I'm not answering the question directly, it's my fault. Okay. Ask my daughters; they'll tell me sometimes my hearing gets a little bit messed up. Okay, so my fault. Okay, just make that clear. But the way I approach the collaboration piece with the players, with the coaches, is, listen, this isn't we're going to collaborate, but it's not a democracy. It can't be. It doesn't work well like that. Okay, the players are going to feel that I will love and respect them, and the coaches will love and respect them. And they've all had a lot of great coaches and players that I'm sure have coaches that have done that. But they're going to feel my love and respect for them. And they're going to feel that we will listen. We will listen to what they have to say. But there has to be a chain of command. The coaches have to be in charge. It's about the players, but the players can't run the ship. It just doesn't work like that. That works for a very short time. If you want to have sustained success, it has to be the right kind of leadership from the coach, the GM, and the owner. And the players are going to drive the ship, but they're not running the ship.
Hi, Coach. Kelly Bardick here, WCCB and Bay Hackle Sports. 2 questions for you. First of all, welcome back to Charlotte. What do you want the identity of the Frank Reich coach Carolina Panthers to be? And then also there are some players here, since we're just talking about players. Have you had the chance to sit down with any of them? And if so, maybe share some of those conversations, what they were like?
No, first with the players, just have started to reach out via text to make sure they all had my number so that when I call and try to connect, obviously it's been 2 days. So like I said, that'll be the highlight, to get with these guys one-on-one, to get with them together. And the first part of that question?
Sorry, my mic was going. What do you want the identity of this team to be?
So 5 traits of great. What it takes to be a great player. 5 traits of great. Number 1 is toughness, mental and physical toughness. Number 2 is accelerated vision, right? What does that mean? That means that you see the game so fast, and your brain and processes information so quickly the game is slow to you. Like, it's slow to you. Like, this is easy. I know what they're doing. I know what that split means. I know what that stance means. I know what that backfield alignment means. I know what that release means. So when you play with accelerated vision, you play faster than your time speed, and you're really good in situational football. You know, number 3 is footwork. Football is played from the ground up, so we want our team to be marked with good footwork. It's all about fundamentals and technique. When it's good on good, and that's what it is every week in the NFL, it's good on good. Our players are good, and they're good. So who's going to win? The guy with the best fundamentals. The guys with the best fundamentals. So we're going to be good fundamentally. That's going to be a mark of the team. Number 4 is going to be playmaker. You got to be able to make plays in the clutch, on third down, in the red zone, in 2 minutes, when a game is really on the line. That's not just the quarterback. It's not just the receivers. It's the left guard cutting off a nose tackle on outside zone to the right. That's a playmaker. That's a playmaker. So that's all across the board. And then lastly is the X factor. You got to have the X factor, right? We want players who have that X factor. What does that mean? They're great leaders. They're great teammates. They love football. They love to practice. They love to meet. They love the grind. Those are the kind of players we want in the building.
Great. Guys, we're up against time, so the last one to Darren Ham.
Frank, you were known for the comebacks as a player. When your first season in Indianapolis, you guys started slowly, came back to make the playoffs. What do you remember about your messaging that season, and how does that apply to what you're taking over right now?
It's all about focusing, you know, one day at a time. You know, a lot of teams use this. I know even our team here, this was big this last year. Because it's true. It's got to be a 1-0 mentality. It's about 1% better, get 1% better every day, and be 1-0. Be 1-0 today. Win the day. I like to talk about, hey, guys, during the week, the way we practice, the way we meet, the way we prepare, we're going to put all that in a suitcase. That suitcase is only so big, right? It has a weight limit when you can take on the plane, or it's a 50-pound limit when you pack it up and put it on the plane. So you can only fit so much in there. But what happens is then when we get there on Sunday, we're going to pour that out on the field. Our collective score, preparation, all those things, how we did it, we're going to bring our suitcase, and the opposing team is going to bring their suitcase. And on Sunday, those things are getting dumped out on the field. And whoever has the best suitcase is going to win. And then guess what? In the NFL, that suitcase is completely unpacked, and then you pack it up the next week. And that's the cycle of the NFL.
Thank you so much, Coach, and thank you for coming today. We really appreciate it. We'll do some photo ops here now that we're completed. So if you guys would like to come forward, you certainly may. Thank you very much.